Good morning, 10:41 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on this Saturday, June 1st, 2024. I'm XRP Future Millionaire, and I reside in the great state of Michigan. So, before we get into this update, and it is a doozy. Not only do we have to talk about the XRP price action, we got to look after the XRP Bitcoin pairing. We'll look into Bitcoin. We'll also take a look at AMP to see how it's running this morning, as it's still around that 700 level. As I'm still in the position, we'll continue to talk about this. But as well as that, we also have to go over the XRP news today. A Ripple CEO calls for SEC chair's resignation amid ETF speculation. And then we'll talk about how Brad Garlinghouse also talked about how it's inevitable for the XRP ETF. So we'll get into all of that. I'll offer a little update on my son. It's a spectacular update today. He's tolerating his G-tube 100%. He's showing very little discomfort with it, a little bit of anxiety during the feedings and whatnot. But he just had 2 of them today that me and Julie have done ourselves now. So we feel very comfortable with it. And the cool thing is now, instead of giving him medicine in his mouth, he can get it through the tube, so he doesn't have to worry about the aversion when we have to force it down his throat, basically. And the good news is now it looks like, at least preemptively, they're targeting tomorrow for us to go home. So today will be his 8th night in the hospital, and it looks like on day 9 he's going to be able to go home. He's having no negative side effects. He's actually tolerating it very well. So I'm very pleased to see his progress today. A lot more comfortable today than yesterday. And he got a clean bill of health. He's got, psychological issues from all the trauma he had when he was, younger and leading into this moment. But other than that, and going to food therapies and stuff, he's a very healthy boy. And fortunately, the cancer screenings and leukemia fears and every other thing they feared, stuff with his throat and his vital organs and his small intestine and all this other stuff, all came back beautiful. So he's a very healthy 4-year-old, almost 5 now, believe it or not. He's going to be 5 next month on July 11th. So, and then we'll come back up here in October. We'll get his the little balloon that's inside and stuff changed out. It's like a 10-minute process, but we're going to stay up here for a few days so he can take a vacation when we come back up here. I'm going to have old Vincenzo come up here with me so that we can kind of have a family weekend and make it a positive experience for him. But my son is doing fantastic. It's the first time in a week that I feel relieved. I feel like myself again. Last night I got the best night of sleep I've had in like a month. It was only like 6 hours, but nonetheless, it was a beautiful night of sleep. I feel very comfortable with what's going on. Today we're going to stay. I mean, I guess we could have had the option to leave, but we figured we want to do his first 4 full feedings at the normal dosage, because yesterday they eased him into it. Today we've got to do a full feedings twice at 6 a.m. and 10 a.m. So we were right there bright and early. He got his feeding, got another one just now. He gets to get everything else he needs through that tube. So now he doesn't even have to get anything. Even if he's sick, we can put it down in his G tube. So he doesn't have to do any kind of aversion through the mouth. And, and we'll get him to his food therapy. So over time, he'll gradually be able to eat. And once he learns to eat a proper diet and eat the proper textures and the proper foods, he can get the G-tube removed. It's a permanent but not permanent fix. So it can stay in as long as it needs, or it can come out as soon as 6 to 8 weeks. So it's actually the best thing that's happened for our son. And for the first time in many years, at least a year and a half now, we feel like he's getting his proper nutrition. And that's very important for us from a psychological, or from a standpoint of the human anatomy and development and stuff like that. So I thank everybody, but now let's get into this. So please make sure that like button so YouTube recommends this update. I'm going to do you a favor this morning. I'm going to play the intro, as we've already timestamped this, but when I play the intro, hit that like button so YouTube recommends this update. It'll allow newer and older viewers to find their way back to the community. By you hitting that like button, YouTube recommends us and we pop up on the YouTube news feed. That means we're part of the analytics, and most importantly, we're part of the YouTube recommendations. So while you're looking through your news feed, the content will pop up and you'll be able to find your way here. Or if you're new, you'll be like, hey, this guy's got some information. And I do thank the 11 new subscribers yesterday, as we went over 21,630 now, the highest we've ever been in this community. So I greatly appreciate each and every one of you. Hit that like button, and I'll catch you in just a moment. Welcome back, everybody. And yesterday, I don't know who made the comment, but it made me laugh. Somebody's like, in 3 years, I've never seen you sit down doing an update, which I thought was pretty funny because I was starting to think about it, and I don't sit down when I do updates. I'm either standing with my stand in front of, the backdrop of my TV where we have the cool fire and storms in the background, or I'm outside and I just have my stuff set up so I can stand in front of the trees. So it's pretty interesting when somebody said that. It made me actually chuckle yesterday. So I appreciate the positivity. I appreciate the positive vibes. I also appreciate the email, and I'm not going to say names. Somebody messaged me and said they're very thankful. They're waiting for my next live. They send me a little love through a YouTube super chat, but they said they've made over $20,000 in profit watching our updates. It's spectacular. Like, that made me so happy yesterday to read. I don't want to say the name. I don't want to say who it is. I have the email. I'm not going to read it to everybody. But in time, when I go on the live, I'm going to cover a long-term prospect here for XRP, the next live I do. And it could be as soon as Monday. I don't think I would do one tomorrow because I want to get my son settled in when we get home. But as soon as Monday, I can be back to regular scheduled programming. And I'll come on after his last feeding of the night at 6 p.m. And yeah, it's going to be a spectacular thing. I'm so excited. So let's see what's going on here with the XRP technical analysis. We're up 0.64% on the day. As we know, it's a thinly traded weekend right now, so we do have to pay attention to that. That data point that we have that, hey, it is a thinly traded weekend. I often hear a lot of people do technical analysis on the weekend and they say, oh, it's bearish, even with positive price action because there's no volume. Just remember, on a thinly traded weekend, volume should be lower. Even though crypto trades 24/7, oftentimes a lot of people at Friday night, they turn their brains off until Monday morning. It's just the way it goes. So you have a lot more price volatility. And as we talked about yesterday, there is an opportunity if this wanted to come all the way down. It could possibly at 507, but the reason why we don't really want that to happen is this cup and handle formation. Right now it's bouncing off of it. We did come down to 5118 approximately, and that was about, if I had to guess, just remembering, it was sometime around this time last night, and maybe around midnight. But we did have that nice volatile swing down. We've since corrected from 51.18 back over 52 cents. We are well within this cup and handle formation now. And like I've stated many times over, and if you're new, the cup and handle formation from a technical perspective, if you're doing technical analysis and you're an analyst, and you're trying to even buy positions or you're trying to figure out how bullish it is, as long as it holds this cup and handle, these are very, very bullish continuation patterns. And until it's not in the handle formation and it breaks down, it is very bullish. Now, if you get a rejection here, obviously that's not good. And the first layer would be down to 48. Next layer would be down to or actually 506, but that wouldn't hold if this gets rejected, just in my personal opinion. I think it would be more of a case where you'd have to come back down to around 38 cents. And then it would be a case of, is this a bigger handle on top of and this is the speculation here. This could be a much bigger cup and handle than I'm even giving it credit for, because I'm doing it in the short term, which is appropriate in the last couple of years. But if you actually look at this from right here at the $1.98, swung around. Now you could say and it's crazy, but one could argue that you are in a massive cup and handle all the way out here. And if that's the case, that would mean that this is all part of the handle, which would mean, if that's the case, that this could technically do way down. So it technically wouldn't break it down, because you can obviously see a beautiful cup coming down into this handle. But I like to shorten it up into this past the short term. Even though it's over a couple of years, you can see how you could pull this out, and this could actually be a handle on this side. This very well, in due time, this very well could play out to be a handle on this side. I mean, I'm just saying. I just want everybody to be aware that by no means has this broken down. And the cool thing is, in these last 2 weeks, even though it looked a little bearish, it's held on to this level. So as long as this holds the technical target at some point, we're prophesizing this, and this is if it does this by June. I'm going to push this back a little bit. I reserve the right to say because I don't want to overanalyze it, but let's just say it takes longer, because now we're in June. We'll give it until July 8th. Now, why go July 8th? We'll do July 22nd. Let's just say, we'll do the end of July to give it time. let's just say it does this by the end of July. Now remember, if it does it by the end of June, obviously $1.18, $1.20, but even if it takes another month and a half, 2 months, your technical breakup is still $1.14 if it breaks bullish out of this handle. That's not the end of it though. If you hold that, then you're going to go back up to that $1.50, and then ultimately you're going to retest that $1.98 in a massive. And this is what I want everybody to realize. Even though we have the short-term multi-year cup and handle, this could just be filling out a big cup. From here back to $1.98, and then I would expect something either to here or to here, and then out to the races. That's when you could push all-time high. So pay attention to that phenomenon that's going on right now. Before I go into anything else, I want to do this reading, and then we will take a look at the XRP Bitcoin pairing and also Bitcoin before we leave. But we've got some vital reading to do today. So, first things first. Let's do this to see if we do have to read through both of them, because this is an updated one from what I had yesterday. So if we do have to read more about the ETF, we will. But we also have to talk about how the Ripple CEO is calling for the resignation of Gary Gensler. So let's talk about this. So the key points. On Friday, May 31st, XRP extended its losing streak to 4 sessions, falling by 0.35% to end the day at 51.71 cents. Speculation about a U.S. crypto spot ETF market limited the losses, while the SEC versus Ripple case remained a headwind. SEC versus crypto case related news and SEC activity need investor consideration on January 1st on this Saturday. So just a quick Friday overview. On Friday, May 31st, XRP declined by 0.35%, following a 0.84% loss on Thursday, May 30th. XRP ended May up 3.3%, surprisingly, at 51.7 cents. Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse voices optimism about the U.S. crypto market. It's a magical time to be alive. When she asked how I feel about what's happening in crypto lately. From a renewed national focus to institutional involvement with our contribution to Fair Shake, the work continues to elect leaders who are pro-crypto, pro-innovation, and pro-consumer protection. In the CNBC interview, Brad Garlinghouse had this to say about the Ethereum spot ETF approvals. Inevitable. The SEC, I think, has been losing in courts. They've been losing in the court of public opinion, and increasingly, I think they're losing in politics. We saw that happen with the Bitcoin ETFs. They were dragged kicking and screaming into the approval of Bitcoin ETFs because of court decisions. I think they knew that. If they didn't support and approve the Ethereum ETFs, likely the same thing was going to happen. Notably, the Ripple CEO also called on the Biden administration to remove SEC Chair Gary Gensler, saying, if the Biden administration is actually serious about a shift and finally waking up to the crypto electorate, the single most important thing they can do is demand the resignation of Gary Gensler. Shortly after the post on X, formerly Twitter, the Biden administration vetoed SAB 121. Garlinghouse reacted to this announcement, posting to say that this is incredibly disappointing from this White House at an incredibly pivotal time is an understatement. The announcement highlighted the Biden administration's stance on crypto, which could influence crypto voters in the upcoming U.S. presidential election. There were no SEC versus Ripple case-related updates to consider on Friday as investors await a court ruling on the motion to seal. We'll hear more about that next week. SEC versus crypto, Ripple, and XRP in limbo. Ripple filed the motion to seal to protect non-public information, including financial statements and contractual agreements with institutions. The SEC argued that documents considered by the court in the remedial stage should be public information. However, the court ruling will not affect the court decision on the penalty Ripple must pay for breaching U.S. securities laws. While the actual penalty amount will garner investor interest, the ruling on whether to prohibit XRP sales to U.S. institutional investors could impact buyer demand for XRP. In March, the SEC argued for an almost $2 billion penalty in court injunction. And that also included disgorgement as well. That was part of that figure. So now let's go into the XRP price action. The daily chart XRP price hovered below the 50-day and 200-day exponential moving averages. So if you don't know, the EMA stands for exponential moving average, confirming the bearish price trends. An XRP move through the 50-day EMA could give the bulls a run at the 200-day, and remember, exponential moving average. A break above the 200-day EMA would support a move to the 57.39 cent resistance level. And that's a beautiful area because we got some key resistance right there that if we could push past that pivot layer, holy smokes, look out above. SEC versus crypto related news needs consideration. Conversely, an XRP break below the trend line, and that's right at 51.50 cents. You want to hold that. You have one more support underneath, which is going to be tough if we break the cup and handle at about 50.5 cents. Conversely, an XRP break below the trend line could give the bears a run at 48 cent handle. The 14-day RSI reading at 46.40 suggests an XRP fall to 48 cent handle before entering oversold territory. Which would, it's not exactly the best thing, but it wouldn't be that uncommon for it to happen. Now, let's go over not the ETF news, but let's look at the XRP Bitcoin pairing and Bitcoin, and then we'll see how much time we've taken. Because I'm going to go through these two relatively quickly. We've got a nice fundamental understanding about XRP. We know it not just based on the cup and handle chart, but also on this chart as well with the nearest support, as we're within a short-term pattern formation that is much more easily identifiable in the smaller time frames. As you can see here, it still looks like a bull flag within a much bigger bear flag. So until this breaks down, I still believe that XRP has every ability to come up here. And right now in current times, it lines up so perfectly that 573 resistance. This is right at 57.1 cents. So just pay attention to this. We want to get past that pivot layer in order to continue our bullish momentum without losing those areas of support we talked about. Now let's go into Bitcoin so then we understand the XRP Bitcoin pairing. Bitcoin's up about 0.39%. Up about 263 points to 67,800 on the day. We could be forming this inverse right arm. However, if this does pull down, we would know it's kind of like a head and shoulders, and it could bring us all the way back to 56,600. We don't want to lose the 200-day at 66,200, but if it needs to retest, as we know, oftentimes we need volatile retest before we can push the level higher. And as you see, we broke through, never had a back test officially. And now if it does come down to back test and we do a V-shape and push up, that's what we would like to see up to 88K. At any time, if this pushes up and holds the 70K or 70,200, your technical move up is 88,000. I know it's crazy, but it is. And then if at any time you can get over that layer right here, that would finish off a big cup. And if that happened, then you have to measure the depth, the breakout, and you could get all the way up to 135K. I'm not saying that's a guarantee, or even in my radar right now, or actually it's a little bit higher. It's like 139,000. What I'm looking at is if it breaks bullish out of here, 88K could cap any upside. And we can see the evidence here as this pattern was in like it's like a rising channel. It dumped out, but now it pushed back through and it created a beautiful cup, and it's trying to create the top cup at 88K. And that's just progression of the pattern right now. And it looks like we're breaking out of a pennant flag on the back end of this, on the handle. And now you have the expansion area at 70,200 approximately. You get over that and hold, it's off to the race to 88K. There's not much in between. XRP Bitcoin pairings up 0.2 or 0.39% to the 769 sat level. I did add another $75 yesterday. I am down 0.25% on 4,700. And let me be transparent because if anything, I want to be transparent. So right now, and I do feel good this weekend. I feel like this is a good weekend for crypto. Even if it doesn't show it in the price, we're seeing a lot of positivity pushing forward. Right now, I have $4,791 in. Okay, so I'm down $55. And as of right now, because it did come down just a tiny bit, I'm down 1.16% or $55. So if you're in with me, we're down $55. Our average price, we don't even know. It's somewhere. Let's see, I can tell you the exact number. Hold on. So 1.16%. It's up about 0.26%. That's 2 sats. So we're at about the 760 sat level is our buy-in. I mean, our average price, I'm sorry, not 760. Our average price is around the 776 sat level. Excuse me. So right around the 776. And if you know anything about the pairing, you buy it with Bitcoin. And I do it on MEXC. That's in the video description below. And you would buy, with your cash, you'd buy Bitcoin. And then with the Bitcoin, you'd buy into the XRP Bitcoin pairing. What that does is it not only allows you to sell out if Bitcoin is underperforming XRP through the pairing, but right now I already have 12,000 plus tokens of XRP. Through this process the last month or so, I've added an additional 9,088 tokens of XRP as well if I choose to sell it out through XRP, which now gives me a grand total near almost 22,000 XRP. So I've almost doubled my holdings by doing this. And I told everybody I had a plan to get more XRP when we were in these ranges, but I countered it through the XRP Bitcoin pairing. And right now it shows on MEXC that I have an additional 9,089 XRP if I chose to sell it through the XRP pairing. So that's something you can do, and that's why a lot of people when the levels are way out of whack with Bitcoin and XRP, they choose to buy it through the XRP Bitcoin pairing, knowing full well even if everything went downhill, and let's say Bitcoin massively outperformed XRP, even though XRP's price was appreciating, you still have the opportunity to sell it through XRP. So just remember that. Just remember that when you look at the pairings. It gives you kind of like a second layer of support. So right now, this is the speculation. If we can break out of this bullishly, and I pushed it all the way back until December of this year. It could happen in December of this year. We gave it as much time, and that could push it all the way up to the 499 sat level. We'd be looking for a massive recovery at some point to bring us up there. And if we put this into smaller time frames so we can understand each other, right now we've got this descending formation that we broke out of, and now we created the expansion zone, which is actually a beautiful thing to see. And now we're looking to push past this resistance, which we haven't been able to do yet, and then start to push out. We need to get over this 772 sat level and hold, and that would validate a move up to the 802. The moment you get up to 802, you got a little pivot point pressure resistance at 830 sat level, and then you're off pretty smoothly to the 900 sat level. Once you get over the 900 sat level, it opens up the door massively. First layer would be around, I don't know why it's not here anymore, but you'd get up around these sat levels at 983 roughly, and then a major sat level is right here. So we've got a lot of stuff in front of us, and then ultimately, if we could do this properly, you'd end up first here. If you break out and you start to retest the drop, so let's just say we start rounding, and then all of a sudden this is the rounding of the bottom, you would come back up here at some point and retest that sat level. And that's at about the 1408. That's a 100% move, roughly 91% from here. So just pay attention to that. So that's what we're looking on the XRP Bitcoin pairing. A lot of information to take, and I understand, but you need to take it in. And then, just for the hell of it, I want to read this, and then I'll let you guys go. And if you are looking to trade XRP in the USA or abroad, look in the video description below. I don't have the ability to comment on most things because this is an unsecured network in the hospital, so I got to be cautious, and they won't let you on YouTube because of being a partner. I can't just comment on everything on the fear someone's going to steal my identity, yada, yada, yada. So in the video description below, you got MEXC for the XRP Bitcoin pairing. If you have the opportunity in the USA, it's going to be tough, but around the world, I would definitely take advantage of that if you want to trade like I do. And then as far as XRP and all the other ones in the USA that I find, I have AMP through BITUNIX as well. And we do need to look at that very quickly. That's in the video description below. And you don't need a VPN, lowest spot leverage trading fees in the USA. And it's very, very easy to use. KYC only if you send or receive from a bank account. And honestly, the AMP I'll do later because this is already a very long update. XRP ETF is inevitable, Ripple CEO predicts. So Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse is convinced that XRP and Solana could be the next altcoins to get their spot ETFs in the US. During his appearance at the Consensus Conference, Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse stated that an XRP exchange-traded fund ETF was inevitable in the US. The Ripple boss has also predicted the appearance of other altcoin ETFs. In a major policy shift, the US Securities and Exchange Commission greenlit several spot Ethereum ETFs, pushing the price of the underlying cryptocurrency to the highest level since mid-March. Following the sudden approval of 19B-4 forms, Ethereum ETFs are yet to start trading. The regulator has now requested that prospective issuers urgently hand in their draft S1 filings, according to recent reports. The launch of Bitcoin's ETFs, which took place in January, ended up being a massive success. BlackRock's record-breaking iShares Bitcoin Trust, IBIT, has now managed to accumulate a staggering $20 billion in total assets under management. This is not the first time that Garlinghouse has confidently predicted altcoin ETFs. In February, months before the SEC's shocking U-turn, he also said that the appearance of such products was inevitable. British multinational bank Standard Chartered appears to be on the same page with Garlinghouse. As reported by you today, it recently predicted that XRP and Solana could be the next altcoins to have their own ETFs in the US. And some people would say, why Solana? That's where they do the pump and dumps by the by the manipulators. It's the #1 pump and dump coin when they have to pump it up, and it's understood. So that's why you have to be careful with Solana. But at the same time, if you know what you're doing, you can make a lot of money. Pro-crypto lawmakers have already urged the SEC to approve ETFs for other tokens as well as Ethereum. Industry observers believe that potential ETF issuers might take advantage of the SEC's current weakness to roll out altcoin ETFs. That said, it is not clear how much demand such products will attract. Robert Mitchnick, head of digital assets at BlackRock, recently stated that their clients had shown very little interest in altcoins. That's bullshit. I'll tell you, between me and you, that's a bunch of horse shit. They have massive interest, especially in XRP and HBAR, as a matter of fact. So to say they have little interest is just horseshit, and it's hogwash. And then AMP, just because I promised before. AMP right now, we're back testing the breakout. And the thing is, if this turns into like a head and shoulders, you very well could find yourself down here. So if you're trading this and it loses that 698 and it looks like it's breaking down, there's no reason to hold it. You could get rid of it and buy it right back here, and that would be my plan of action. And yeah, I'm feeling pretty comfortable with AMP. I like AMP. As you know, the first time we bought it, we rode it from the 0049 level all the way up to a 250% gain. This time I told everybody it'd be a little more painful. It would take a long time. However, the first sale I was supposed to make was up here, and unfortunately, because of my son being hospitalized and admitted the last 8 days, today will be his 9th day admitted, but tomorrow we should be going home. I didn't get to sell out around the 7.7 sat level, and I could have made 10%. So I cost myself about $210. In the grand scheme, it's $210. I could have rebought it back here, could have rebought back down, but at least we're on the right game. We had the 770 sat level marked beautifully, and it got rejected there, but now we're back testing, and we'll see what happens. So hopefully it holds the back test and we get some volatility here, but if not, it's a surefire bet we'll come back down to the 660 sat level. And the reason why I would say you sell it if we lose the 698 and it shows a resistance here, only because that's a 5.7% drop, and it's not going to end your dreams. But if you have the ability to sniff things like this out and then be able to buy 5.7% more when it gets there, and like I said, on BITUNIX, it's like $1 to sell $2,100 worth. So there's no fee, basically. So I don't have to worry about that. So just consider everything I've said. Make sure to hit that like button so YouTube recommends this. If you do appreciate my work, consider joining Tom's Army. We had a very slow month last month, but we didn't get to do our normal standard operating procedure. Or consider sending one YouTube super chat per month. And I do appreciate all the kind words. I appreciate all the messages. Keep them coming. I appreciate all the prayers. And when we get home, it'll be back to normal, regular scheduled program. I'm proud to say we didn't miss a single day during this whole trauma with my son. I've still been able to keep everybody updated. And it's been a spectacular thing to see the unity of the community. So before I leave, I'll leave you with this. Don't forget to give thanks to your Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, as you never, ever, ever know what comes next. You never know what tomorrow brings. So don't take for granted what you have today. And when you see your kids, even if they make you unhappy, even if they stress you out, for me, give them a hug, give them a kiss, and at the very least, just take a breath and say, man, things could be so much worse than a little anxiety that we're suffering, or our kids being a little disruptive, or things like that. And just be blessed in the fact that your kids are healthy, they're home. And even another blessing I've gotten is so many members from the community whose kids have gone through the G-tube. Even recently, I've got one person who's actually in the hospital right now on the other side of the world, that their kid actually got a G-tube the night before my son. So it's interesting to see how many people in our audience have had feeding tubes, either through the nasal, the NG tube or the G tube like my son. And it's just that overwhelming response I've gotten from everybody has just been unbelievable to see that we are not alone. And you know, it's amazing what we built here with everybody, the trust we have for each other. And remember, helpfulness over hurtfulness, love over hate, positivity over negativity. We are not the victim here. We never will be, and we never have been. We are the winner, and we always will be. We get all of the news, all of the information from a charting and news perspective, make an educated and informed decision. So I'm going to leave you with this last line. Remember, help one person each and every day. Because if I don't do my part and you don't do your part, it becomes a very tricky journey. And to be honest, if we're not helping each other with what we know, what is truly the point? Why take it to the grave? Why charge people for the stuff you know if in the end it'll come back around full circle? That is my motto, and it'll be that way until the very end. Bless each and every one of you.